Hi, everyone. Um, awesome. Hi, I'm Selena Cox. I'm the director of Fame Junior. Welcome to our Talkback. We're just going to start off with some introductions. All right. So first, like I said, I'm Selena. I directed the show. I'm coming at you from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which is a ton of fun. And I wanted to just share with you some of the favorite parts of the show for me. Some of the more wonderful moments of this show were getting to work with almost all of the actors individually. Actually, no, every single actor. I got to work with every single person in the show individually. That wouldn't normally happen in an in-person show. So I love that so much. All right, I'm gonna swing it over to Kat.
Hi, my name is Kat. I played Chops. I live in Virginia, and my most memorable moment was seeing my boss for the first time. That just blew me away. I love that. And now I'm going to pass it on to Soren.
My name's Soren. I played Nick Piazza. I'm coming from Crozet, Virginia, and my favorite moment was probably filming with Natasha and Christina at the park and doing rehearsals there as well. That was a lot of fun. And I'm going to swing it over to Julia.
Hi, I'm Julia, and I played Serena Katz. I'm from the Philippines, and the most memorable thing is whenever we had a name theme in rehearsals. Yeah. I'm gonna pass it to Natasha.
Uh-oh, it looks like Natasha is having some mild technical difficulties. We're going to figure that out. I will tell you that Natasha played Carmen in the show. I'm not going to presume to know what her favorite part of the show was, but once we get her back, she'll be able to let us know. Natasha, just drop something in the chat or Justin, once we... I think we got Natasha back. Maybe. That's okay, Natasha.
Hi.
Oh, here she is.
Okay.
Natasha, go ahead. Okay, we'll come back to Natasha. All right, so I did want to just say what Julia was talking about. I really was one of the things as a director doing a virtual show that I knew that I wanted to try to recreate and I knew that we would all miss was the bond that comes with being in a cast in person, showing up to every rehearsal together and learning each other and learning about each other and all that kind of stuff. So what I did to try to help that along over Zoom was every rehearsal, we had what we called the naming convention, and we would pick a theme. And it could have been, we did a lot of different themes. The very first one was, what's your favorite musical? Something really simple. But then we started to get a little bit more out there. We started to do, what musical defines your mood right now? Or what title of book it describes the way you feel today. We explored flowers, colors, onomatopoeias. We did a whole range of different naming conventions, and it was a lot of fun. We really got to learn a whole lot about each other and about each other's personalities and our tastes and our likes and our dislikes. So that was just a blast. I'm really glad we did that. And I think it's going to be something that I keep even when we're back in person, because it was just such a lovely way to start every rehearsal, I think, right? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to ask the cast a couple of questions. So cast, I want you to be like, just completely honest about these questions, really go for it. Okay, cool. Kat, so you said that your most memorable moment was getting your costume, right? Yeah. How did you tell me about your feelings and thoughts? Because it was a really out there look for you. I wanted it to be super distinct from the rest of the cast. So just tell me about your thoughts and feelings about that costume and that character and how you felt in it. Go for it.
Well, I had to show up in hair and makeup. And for anyone who's watched the show, that was a full mohawk and purple lipstick. And I just remember driving there and I'm like, please nobody stare at me. But it was just, I mean, it was so much denim. I don't think I own that much denim, but I loved it. I loved the costume. It was super comfortable. And it was lamb chops.
Yes.
It was lamb chops.
It was lamb chops. I feel that. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Kat. All right, Soren. So I'm going to reveal something to the audience, Soren. Soren did not like the personality of his character.
I hate Nick.
That's not to say that you didn't enjoy the role, you didn't enjoy his music and like actually doing the role, but Nick as a person, you just were not a fan of him. So talk to me about the process and what that felt like to play a role that you just really, you didn't connect with, you didn't like him as a person. Talk about that for me.
It's kind of like getting into character for any other character, except it just takes more persuasion because I didn't necessarily want to get into character, but you know, it was my first show since last year. And I was like, even though I hate the character, I still enjoy what I'm doing. So I didn't even think about the character as much when I started playing him or acting and filming it. When I started filming it, I was just like, I'm just going to embody the character enough that I know I will hate myself for doing it. But I'm going to not embody him enough to lose sight of what I'm doing. So that was that. It was definitely it was something that challenged me because I didn't exactly want to play the character, but I ended up doing it. So that was fun.
That's awesome. I think it's a really important lesson for young actors to learn is that you're not going to like every character you have to embody. And you shouldn't also, like, because if you get too attached to characters, that can get a little messy. But sometimes you have to be the villain. Sometimes you have to be the annoying person. Sometimes you have to be the super pretentious acting student. And it's a good lesson to learn how to kind of make that division happen, right? Yes. Awesome. All right, Julia, talk to me about, so you're in the Philippines. That's quite a time difference. Yes. Talk to me about the process for you of being on such a different time than the rest of the cast.
I'm so sorry. My connection got cut off. I only heard the part that I'm from the Philippines and how was it with the time.
Yeah, so you're on a 12-hour time difference from most of the rest of the cast. And so just talk to us a little bit about how you made that work and how that impacted, that's like an extra layer of challenge on top of an already challenging role. So talk to me about that.
So every day we had our rehearsals at 6 p.m. for them, for most of you. And I wake up around at 5 a.m. to get ready and do rehearsals at 6 a.m. And it was really good because this past couple of weeks before our rehearsal, my sleeping schedule wasn't that good. So it kind of restarted it in a good way. Yeah.
Awesome. And then we also would have rehearsals on Saturdays that for us started at 2 p.m., which would be 2 a.m. Julia's time. We tried really hard to make her come to as few of those as possible because that's just cruel and unusual to make someone rehearse. But I could see how a 6 a.m. rehearsal would actually be kind of a lovely way to start the day. Like you start the day with choreo and singing and like you're just going the rest of the day after that, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Awesome. All right, Natasha, I want to give you a chance to introduce yourself. And then when you're done with that, I'm going to ask you your question. Go ahead.
Alrighty, so hopefully the connection's a little better now. But my name's Natasha. I played Carmen Diaz, and I live in sort of the Charlottesville, Crows. And I think favorite moment was most likely either filming with Soren and Christina, or when I heard the combined track for my song with Shlomo for the first time, and it hit me how much everyone had worked to just make this a reality.
Yes. Oh, I love that. That was a really special moment, wasn't it? Yeah. All right. So here's my question for you. You had probably, so there were a lot of, couples through the show, and you and Shlomo were probably the couple that needed the most chemistry, the most interaction that was believable and charming. There was some flirtatiousness that needed to happen. What was that process like over Zoom, trying to get to a place where you two could have that kind of chemistry? Oh, we're gonna.
I do little tree exercise we would do. So since we can't be in the same room together, Selena had us do a bunch of these little exercises to kind of get us to know each other. Okay, sorry about that. Just super awkward at times. But they came a long way. She had us, study each other's faces, and and
Okay, I think we have lost Natasha again. That's okay. I do want to talk a little bit about some of the chemistry exercises. Julia and Soren also had to do these a little bit too. I made the actors actually stare at each other's faces over Zoom, and really, really think about the details of each other's faces, kind of think about and just really get to know each other's faces. What that kind of awkwardness, I think, can do for scene partners, and like embracing that level of awkwardness, is that when you're playing teenagers are not good at flirting. There's always a pretty thick layer of awkwardness on top of teenage flirting. And so like, I thought it would be really fun to embrace that, because y'all were playing teenagers that had really weird, awkward crushes on each other. And so I thought it would, like, why run towards the flirting aspect? Let's instead run towards the awkwardness aspect. And I think it really came across well. It kind of created this really charming, cute, very cute scene chemistry between all of the onstage couples. So that was really fun for me, at least, as the director, to make you guys really just feel super uncomfortable. All right, Justin, if we have any questions, I think now would be the time to take them, unless the actors have any questions or any comments. None yet, Justin. All right, then I'm going to keep asking the actors questions. Natasha, is that a better connection for you?
hopefully it is.
Okay, talk more about the exercises you did with Thomas, how they made you feel, what it was like.
Okay, so I remember vividly the first time we actually really met each other, honestly, was one of the earlier rehearsals, and I remember very vividly where Selena goes, "Okay, now stare at each other for 30 seconds," and we're all like, "Huh?" And it was really just like the way that it was structured was just to kind of get over that weird, awkward like hump that we all kind of get over when we meet someone new. And it was really awkward for like the first 30 minutes to even a day, and we kind of just couldn't stop laughing because it was so weird. But she kind of had us do these things where, like, if we were in the same room together, kind of study the person's facial expressions, how their face changes from 1 second to another. You know, the little features of this little small features of their face that kind of make them unique. And in the long run, that was like an amazing thing to do because it did wonders for, you know, chemistry purposes, and it made it easier to, you know, kind of pretend the other person was in the room, and how to change your own body language and, you know, face to match what they're going to do.
All right. Yes, Natasha, that's exactly right. It was an extra challenge knowing that you have to have chemistry with someone who's not in the same room as you. And kind of having those moments where you guys basically memorized each other's faces and each other's facial expressions. I think it really added to, like, Natasha, when you were leaning on the piano looking at an empty chair, or even looking at me reading Thomas's lines, which, like, I'm not Thomas. And you were, I think, Natasha, you did a really wonderful job of imagining Thomas's face and how he responded to your lines. And the same thing with Julia and Soren, and Virginia and Drayvon you guys all did such a good job with that stuff. So thank you so much. Okay, we have 2 questions from the audience. Let's see, I'm gonna read this. It looks like musical theater could be going back to in-person soon. What will you miss from online musicals? Anyone want to take that one? Let's have Kat and then Soren. Oh, let's have Soren. He popped up first.
So I was in a weird situation. I was doing an in-person musical at the same time as doing an online musical. So I think overall, what I'll miss from online musicals is the ability to meet people from many different places and connect with them through theater in ways that you can't really do in person, because you can't, for instance, Julia can't just fly from the Philippines here to do musical theater in person. But what I will not, but overall, I think live theater just, it has a much better companionship between everyone. And it's just, it feels a lot more real than online. So I think I'm more excited to go in person, but I will miss meeting a bunch of different people from different areas of the world.
Kat, I'd love to hear your response.
Well, I agree with Soren on that. It's going to be really hard to meet people from all around the world again. But I also think that I personally, I kind of miss being on Zoom, because you can shut it off and then you can leave the room and you can just sort of leave it all behind. And I know we do that on stage too, but also it's really nice to be in your own house for a little bit, and to be able to just go and eat dinner directly after you finished rehearsal. So, and it's easier for me because Crozet and Charlottesville, that whole area is pretty far away. Okay, not like 3 hours, but pretty far away. So it's easy to just click a button and boom, there's everyone's face.
All right, Julia, I think that you had a response too.
Yeah, I agree with what they said. It's really nice thing that I get to meet you all and perform virtually with you awesome people. That's just an honor to be performing with you all. And I'll miss that.
Awesome. I'm going to miss, the thing I'm going to miss about online, about being virtual, I think the most is, like Soren said, having people from all over be able to join us. but also the fact that I live in Philadelphia. I would not still be working with DMR if it weren't for these virtual musicals. So that was a really special thing for me, and it's been really just the best thing this last year to be able to see y'all's faces. All right, Justin, let's get the second question. Congratulations. Each of you brought something special to your characters. What did you find most challenging about transitioning from stage acting to Zoom? Natasha.
Okay, definitely one of the biggest things was that I play a lot off of other people, so it's hard to kind of develop a relationship with the other person without them being there. And also, it's so easy for your attention span to just poof, gone, especially when you're not able to, get to know your castmates, because that's a large part of, doing theater is just getting to be part of this huge community. And one of the really hard things about that was, not being able to meet Julia, not being able to meet all of the other people who I really have come to respect so much.
I agree. Soren, go ahead.
I think that one of the most challenging things is just facial expressions are a lot different from stage acting to Zoom. They're a lot more exaggerated on stage, and when filmed, it's just if it's over exaggerated, like most things on stage tend to be, so that they translate better to the audience, it doesn't look as good filmed. So I think that was an interesting thing to work with, and also something that is good to keep in mind for future things. Yeah,
I agree completely. I think as a director, it was really, it really changed the way I had to direct y'all, because it's just, that's not the same thing. Yeah, Kat, go ahead.
I agree with what Natasha said. For me, it's a very building off of other people, and it was so weird to just walk in and then do the scene, and there's no one else to play off of. And I react differently when people are there in the room. So when Selena would read a line, I would say it differently than if Thomas was in the room with me reading the line. So that was a challenge. That was a fun challenge. But yeah, it's definitely just building off of other people.
That's really interesting. I said a very similar thing kind of early on last year in the summer, that that the thing I'm missing the most, and the thing I'm realizing is the most important to me as a creative person, is feeding off of the energy of others, is being around other creative people and like having random conversations about random stuff. And from that conversation, an entire idea for a show comes out of my brain, right? Just recently, we had a parent that just, while we were filming at the theater, a parent walked up and was like, I have this thing and we don't need it anymore. Do you guys want it? And from that, Melissa and I were like, should we do this show? Because this thing would fit perfectly in that show. And like, that doesn't happen if you're not at the theater. It doesn't, right? Those kinds of wonderful, beautiful coincidences just don't occur. And so that was really difficult for me over the last year. And I'm sure for y'all too. And I'm really excited to get back to in person for that kind of occurrence to happen again. Yes, yes. From Melissa, how did the movie of Fame affect your performance? First off, have any of the actors seen the movie Fame? None of y'all should watch it. It's real good.
I've watched the trailer.
I read the reviews on Common Sense Media. I feel like that's true.
Well, for me, it's a beloved movie in my lexicon of films that I watch. It's one of the reasons I wanted to do this musical. For our audience members who may not know, the show takes place in our world where the movie Fame happened. It doesn't take place in the same world as the movie Fame, which is kind of weird and meta, but that is the case. And so we tried to make some references to the movie in some places, but at the same time, we wanted to be really cognizant that this show takes place in like the real world and not the world of Fame, the movie. What was that last question, Justin, from... All right. What was it like filming either in the studio or from home? Were there any surprises when you filmed? Natasha, let's have you go first.
Okay, this one I've been waiting to say because it's the funniest, one of the funniest moments to me. Okay, so this was specifically when we were filming the scene at the piano with Thomas was supposed to be there. I was supposed to be, totally in character, Carmen, confident, whatever. And at one point they had to record a sort of a reaction tape to me reacting to his playing. And Selena was just sitting there like banging on the key, like da 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 da, pretending to play.
Oh no, we had lost Natasha during that amazing story. Yes, I was just banging random notes on the piano, honestly trying to get like a little bit of a laugh from Natasha in the scene, to get a little bit of just an interesting facial expression. So that was something that was really fun to be able to do, was to do some really wild antics to get the reaction I wanted from the actors. That obviously isn't something that we can do in live theater. So let's hear from Julia.
That I had to record my singing parts in the middle of the night, and so I'm so sorry, neighbors. That's all.
Oh man, I think that neighbors, probably had a lot of patience over the last few months. Soren or Kat, do either of you have a yes? Kat, let's hear it, and then we'll go to Soren.
I did all my filming at DMR, so my neighbors didn't have to listen to me dancing around. But one of my problems was drumsticks. We had to make drumsticks. So we found this wooden stick pole thing. I can't remember what it was used for, but I don't even know. And we cut it. And the buzzsaw that we used to cut it was really loud. I'm just standing next to the piano and I'm like, okay. And so that's where my drumsticks came from. And I also remember filming with them, and I had to put them in my pocket. And I'm just like, go in the pocket. We made it work. So, yay.
Yes, we did. That was probably, Kat, the thing that felt the most like live theater to me were your drumsticks, that they were very like, okay, we found these, go on stage. Like, yes. All right, Soren, and then we're going to start wrapping it up.
So I didn't necessarily have any surprises. I went into the studio and I filmed my stuff. There was one challenge with daylight. There was no daylight in the scenes that we needed daylight. So that was fun, but otherwise it felt decently normal. The theater felt empty, which was an interesting feeling, because no one had really used that for a long time. I'd say the thing that felt most like live theater, which did kind of surprise me, was filming outside with Natasha and Christina, because with the sun beating down on you, when you're wearing pants and a turtleneck, and dress shoes, it feels like the lights in the theater, so it just gets really hot. And that reminded me of live theater, and that was fun. That was a good feeling.
Yeah, so the daylight thing that Soren was talking about was that for all of the sophomore, junior, senior year things, we kind of happened upon during the first filmings. that when we opened up, when we had, all the outdoor doors open in the theater, so we had good airflow, and the sunlight came streaming in and hit this back wall of the audience risers just really beautifully. And I was like, there's no way we can't use that. Like, we have to use that. And so, but then Soren filmed at 8 p.m. and there's no daylight at 8 p.m. So we had to, we kind of did a lot of like putting up weird work lights and figuring out how to create daylight. And that was really fun. That also felt like the improvisational solutions to problems that happen so frequently in live theater. Yes.
It felt kind of like a tech rehearsal, or when you're trying to figure out the lighting and, yeah.
Yep. Yes, I love that. All right. So we are going to wrap things up. Again, thank you everyone who watched the show and who is here at our talkback. Thank you so, so much. Just to end out things, we're going to go in reverse order. We're going to do Natasha, Julia, Soren, Kat. And then I want you to just give me, we're going to do a final naming convention for the show. All right. You're going to say your name again really quick, just your first name. And then you're going to say what number in the show best described your experience with the show. I'm going to give you a second to think about it. All right. Natasha, are you there? Natasha's not there, so we got to go to Julia.
Hi, I'm Julia, and I played Serena Katz, and it's the first act, the first part, the hard work.
Yes. All right, Natasha, let's hear it.
All right. I was not able to hear the question because it kicked me out again for like the fourth time.
Name a number in the show that best describes the experience of doing this show for you.
Oh, that's hard. It would probably have to be Bring On Tomorrow.
Ooh, love it.
Because it's kind of like, oh my god, that was literally the best thing I've ever done. Like, that made my day so great. Bring on tomorrow's rehearsal. Bring it on. I'm ready to film. I'm ready to do this.
Awesome. All right, Soren.
In this.
So I think Mabel's Prayer would be mine, because, and like, it's kind of the arc in Mabel's story, and that's kind of what this was, because it's kind of the arc in COVID in a way, and participating in the first musical since last year, which was since JTF basically, which happened in January of last year. So that was really, it was kind of like, whoa, we're going over the arch. And also, it's just it has a really good just groove to it. It's a fun song too.
So. I love it. All right, Kat.
This is really cheesy, but mine was probably the title song, Fame, just because that song had so much energy, and it was just so, it was such a dance, like, I really wanted to dance to that song. I would hear it and I'm just like, yeah, let's dance. And so yeah, that's probably it. Oh, also my name is Kat. I realized.
All right. So, and then I'm going to go last. I'm Selena. I was the director of Fame Junior, and I adored working with everyone. And the song from the show that best describes my experience in the show was "I Want to Make Magic," because that song just really it hit me in a place that for me, that's what theater is about. It's about magic. Yeah. All right. We're going to swing it back. Thank you, everyone. Give us a big wave to say goodbye. We're going to swing it to Justin.
Hey everyone, I'm Justin. I am an artistic assistant, and a technical director for summer camps this summer. And I am so excited for all the summer camps we have planned, but I wanted to talk about one that I am just the most excited about. It is Broadway Bound Music Video Edition. And it's so important right now because everybody that was in Fame Junior and involved, grades 7 to 12, can do it. And I want to see you all there if you're free. But I'm just going to play the promo right now. And thank you guys so much for coming and watching this talkback. And if you saw Fame Junior, I hope you loved it. The students worked so hard, and thank you for coming.